It started as a normal day at the Deep Space Listening Station in New Mexico. The massive radio dishes pointed at the stars, collecting the usual background noise of the universe. Tom Parker sat at his monitoring station, sipping his third cup of coffee while watching the endless streams of data flow across his screens. That's when everything changed. At first, it was just a tiny blip, barely noticeable among the cosmic static. But unlike the random patterns of space noise, this signal repeated itself with perfect precision every 12 seconds. Tom nearly spilled his coffee as he sat up straight, his eyes fixed on the monitor. "Hey, Mike," he called out to his supervisor. "You might want to take a look at this." Mike Roberts walked over, his usual bored expression changing as he looked at the screen. The signal was getting stronger. It wasn't just random noise. It was a clear pattern of numbers, repeating in a way that could only be artificial. "Call Dr. Wilson," Mike said quietly. Now, within hours, the small listening station became the center of global attention. Dr. Laura Wilson, the head of SETI, arrived with a team of scientists. They'd worked nonstop, trying to decode the mysterious signal that was now stronger than ever. "Look at this sequence," Dr. Wilson said, pointing at the screen. "It's showing prime numbers, then perfect squares, then the first 1,000 digits of pi. This isn't just intelligent life. They're proving to us that they understand advanced mathematics." The world's best code breakers and mathematicians joined the effort. After 3 days of intense work, they finally cracked the basic structure of the message. What they found left them speechless. It was a distress call. The message contained detailed coordinates pointing to the edge of our solar system, in the Kuiper Belt beyond Neptune. There, a fleet of 300 ships waited, stranded, and in need of help. The aliens had included basic information about their species and their situation, along with a request for assistance. The news spread across Earth like wildfire. Every TV channel, website, and radio station talked about nothing else. World leaders held emergency meetings. Military forces went on high alert. Scientists debated the implications. Religious leaders offered their interpretations. But the most surprising part was yet to come. "They've been watching us," Dr. Wilson announced at a packed UN meeting. "The message includes details about our technology, our languages, even our internet. They've been studying us for months while trying to decide if they should ask for help." The UN chamber erupted in chaos. Representatives from every nation demanded to know why their space monitoring systems hadn't detected the alien fleet earlier. "Their technology is far beyond ours," Dr. Wilson explained. "They have ways to hide their presence, but now they need our help, and they're choosing to reveal themselves." The message included one more crucial detail: a deadline. The fleet's life support systems would start failing within 2 months. They needed Earth's help before then, or thousands of their people would die. World leaders argued about what to do. Some wanted to ignore the call, fearing it might be a trap. Others saw it as humanity's chance to prove itself on the galactic stage. The debates raged on for days while the clock kept ticking. Finally, after a week of intense discussions, the UN reached a decision. Earth would answer the call. A team of scientists, engineers, and diplomats would be assembled to meet the stranded alien fleet. As the announcement went out, Tom Parker sat back at his monitoring station, still watching the signal that had changed everything. A new message was coming through. The aliens had received Earth's response and were waiting to meet humanity's representatives. The greatest adventure in human history was about to begin, and it all started with a simple blip on a screen in New Mexico. The human ship Hope moved slowly through the darkness of the outer solar system. Inside, the 12-person crew checked their equipment for the 100th time. None of them could quite believe they were about to make first contact with an alien civilization. Robert Adams, the mission commander, floated in the control room, watching the radar screen. According to their calculations, they should see the alien fleet any minute now. The ship's doctor, Mary Lewis, floated up beside him. "Any sign of them yet?" she asked, her voice tight with excitement. Before Robert could answer, the radar operator called out, "Contact. Multiple objects ahead." The crew rushed to the viewing windows. At first, they saw nothing but stars. Then, one by one, massive shapes appeared, seeming to fade into existence like ghosts becoming solid. The alien ships had dropped their cloaking technology. "My God," Robert whispered. "They're beautiful." The alien vessels looked like giant silver snowflakes, each one unique and glowing with a soft blue light. They stretched out as far as the eye could see, 300 ships of various sizes forming a spectacular pattern against the black of space. A voice came through their radio, speaking perfect English. "Welcome, humans. We are grateful you came." The crew looked at each other in amazement. Even though they knew the aliens had been studying Earth's languages, hearing them speak was still shocking. The alien ship closest to them opened what looked like a docking bay. Following the transmitted instructions, Robert guided the Hope inside. As they landed, everyone put on their spacesuits, ready to meet their hosts. The airlock opened, and they got their first look at the aliens themselves. They were tall, slender beings with silvery skin that seemed to shimmer. Their large eyes were completely black, and they moved with incredible grace in the zero gravity. The alien leader stepped forward and bowed. "I am the fleet commander. We apologize for bringing our problems to your doorstep, but we had no choice." Over the next few hours, the aliens explained their situation. They came from a star system thousands of light years away. Their sun had started to die unexpectedly, forcing them to evacuate their entire civilization. During their journey, something went wrong with their quantum drive engines near Earth's solar system. "We have been traveling for 3 years," the fleet commander said. "Our ships carry the last survivors of our world. Over 50,000 souls, including many children." The human crew toured one of the main ships. They saw families living in comfortable quarters, children attending schools, and engineers working desperately to fix the failing engines. Despite their advanced technology, the aliens seemed just as worried and hopeful as any humans would be in their situation. In the engine room, the alien chief engineer showed them the problem. The quantum drives that powered their ships were highly advanced, but they had started failing one by one. The aliens couldn't understand why their usual repair methods weren't working. "We have watched your species," the chief engineer said. "You think differently than we do. You solve problems in ways that seem impossible to us. That is why we called for your help." Robert looked at the complex engine before him. "But your technology is far more advanced than ours. How could we possibly help?" The fleet commander's large black eyes seemed to sparkle. "Because, Commander Adams, the universe does not always follow logical paths. Your species excels at understanding this. You see patterns where we see only chaos. You find solutions where we see only problems." As if to prove their point, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. Another quantum drive had failed, bringing the total number of damaged engines to 50. The aliens moved quickly but calmly, their movements precise and practiced. "We have less time than we thought," the fleet commander said. "Will you help us?" Robert looked at his crew, seeing the determination in their faces. They had come prepared to face anything, even failure. But now they understood that this wasn't just about making first contact or proving humanity's worth. This was about saving lives. "Yes," Robert said. "We'll help. Just tell us where to start." The alien ship's main conference room was filled with both species, all staring at the holographic display in the center. The projection showed the complex workings of the quantum drive engine, its parts spinning and shifting in ways that seemed to break the laws of physics. Jack Thompson, one of Earth's best quantum physicists, watched the display with growing excitement. Beside him, the alien engineers continued their detailed explanation of how the drives worked. But something wasn't adding up. "Wait," Jack said, holding up his hand. "You're saying the drive only works when no one is monitoring it?" The alien chief engineer bobbed his silvery head. "Correct. The quantum field collapses under observation. This is basic physics. But you're still trying to observe and measure everything while making repairs. The aliens looked at each other in confusion. Of course. How else would we ensure precision? Jack laughed, earning strange looks from both humans and aliens. That's your problem right there. You're thinking like aliens. He stepped up to the hologram and pointed to the quantum core. You can't measure quantum states without changing them. We learned this the hard way back in the 20th century. It's called the observer effect. The alien engineers looked offended. One of them spoke up. We know about the observer effect. That's why our instruments are designed to be minimally invasive. But you're still trying to control everything, Jack said. Sometimes you have to let go of control to get the result you want. The fleet commander, who had been quietly watching, moved forward. Explain this concept of letting go. How can one fix something without maintaining control? Lisa Martinez, a human engineer who had been studying the engine designs, joined the conversation. It's like trying to fall asleep. The more you try to force yourself to sleep, the more awake you become. Sometimes you have to stop trying so hard. The aliens discussed this among themselves in their own language, their movements showing their agitation. Finally, the chief engineer turned back to the humans. You suggest we repair our advanced quantum drives by not trying to repair them. His voice carried both disbelief and curiosity. Not exactly, Jack said. We need to work with the quantum field, not against it. Think of it like surfing a wave instead of trying to control the ocean. Over the next few hours, Jack and Lisa worked with the alien engineers to develop a new approach. Instead of their usual precise measurements and calculations, they created a system that could adapt to the quantum fluctuations. The aliens struggled with this concept. Their entire civilization was built on logic and precision. The idea of letting a repair system go with the flow seemed dangerous and primitive to them. I don't understand, one young alien engineer said. How can we trust a system we're not fully controlling? Lisa smiled. That's the beauty of it. Quantum mechanics doesn't care if we trust it or not. It just does its thing. Our job is to work with it, not force it to work our way. They decided to test their theory on a small backup generator. The aliens watched nervously as Jack and Lisa set up their experimental repair system. Instead of trying to force the quantum field into alignment, they created a flexible framework that could respond to quantum changes. Ready? Jack asked, his hand hovering over the activation switch. The alien engineers moved back, their silver skin shimmering with anxiety. The fleet commander gave a single nod. Jack flipped the switch. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the quantum field indicators started to change. The numbers danced across the screens in patterns that made no logical sense to the aliens, but brought smiles to the human engineers' faces. It's working, Lisa whispered. The field is stabilizing itself. The backup generator hummed to life, its energy readings stronger and cleaner than they had been in months. The aliens stared in amazement at their instruments. Impossible, the chief engineer muttered. The quantum field. It's perfectly aligned. But how? We didn't control it. Exactly, Jack said. We didn't try to control it. We let it find its own balance. The fleet commander looked at the humans with new respect. Perhaps, he said slowly, there is more to learn from Earth than we first thought. The initial success with the backup generator created a wave of hope throughout the alien fleet. However, that hope was about to be tested. When Jack and Lisa tried to apply their solution to one of the main quantum drives, things got complicated. It's not working, Lisa said, staring at the readings. The quantum field is too unstable. It's different from the backup generator somehow. They stood in the engine room of the alien flagship, surrounded by worried engineers from both species. The main quantum drive towered above them, a massive structure that pulsed with mysterious energy. Unlike the small backup generator, this one refused to stabilize. Jack wiped sweat from his forehead. The scale is different. It's like the difference between making ripples in a pond and trying to calm an ocean. The alien chief engineer's silver skin had taken on a dull gray color, showing his stress. We have only 52 days before life support systems begin to fail in the outer ships. We must solve this. That's when they heard humming. Everyone turned to look at Mark Wilson, another human engineer, who was standing near the quantum drive with his eyes closed, humming a tune. "What are you doing?" the chief engineer asked, confused. "Look at the readings," Jack said suddenly, pointing at the monitors. The quantum field fluctuations had changed. They weren't stable, but they were different. Lisa moved closer to the display. "They're following a pattern. Not a mathematical one, but, Mark, keep humming." As Mark continued, Jack and Lisa watched in amazement. The quantum field wasn't stabilizing, but it was responding to the sound waves. The aliens gathered around their instruments, their large eyes wide with surprise. "It's like the field is dancing to the music," Lisa said excitedly. "What if that's what we need? Not cold mathematics, but rhythm." The aliens looked skeptical. "How can simple sound waves affect a quantum field?" one of them asked. "Everything in the universe vibrates," Jack explained, "from the smallest quantum particle to the largest galaxy. Maybe we need to match the drive's natural rhythm, instead of forcing our own pattern on it." They spent the next 12 hours testing this theory. They tried different frequencies, different songs, different patterns of sound. Sometimes the quantum field responded strongly, other times it ignored them completely. "There's something here," Lisa said, "but we're missing a piece of the puzzle." That's when one of the younger aliens spoke up. His name was impossible for humans to pronounce, so they called him Ray. "In our history," he said hesitantly, "before we became a purely logical species, we had something similar to what you call music. We used it in our early quantum experiments." The fleet commander, who had been quietly observing, turned to Ray with interest. "The ancient harmonics. Those were abandoned as unscientific centuries ago." "Maybe that was a mistake," Ray said. "Look at these patterns. They're similar to the wave songs of our ancestors." The next few hours were a fascinating mix of human music and recovered alien harmonics. They discovered that when both species combined their sounds in specific ways, the quantum field responded more strongly than to either alone. "It's working," Lisa shouted as the quantum drive's readings began to stabilize. The massive engine hummed with a new sound, a strange but beautiful combination of human and alien music. But their celebration was cut short by an alarm. Red lights flashed throughout the ship as the fleet commander received an urgent message. "3 more drives have failed in the outer fleet," he announced grimly. "The cascade effect we feared has begun. Ships are losing power faster than predicted." Jack looked at the newly stabilized drive. "We've solved the puzzle, but now we need to scale it up. Fast. We need to find a way to apply this to hundreds of drives simultaneously." The fleet commander's next words made everyone's hearts sink. "We now have less than 30 days before the first ships begin to lose life support. Thousands of lives depend on finding a solution." Lisa stared at their musical interface, then at the massive drive, and finally at the worried faces around her. "Then we better get to work," she said. "We need every engineer, every musician, and every crazy idea we can get. And we need them now." The situation in the alien fleet grew worse by the hour. More ships reported failing quantum drives, and the cold darkness of space began creeping into the outer vessels. The humans had called for reinforcements. Musicians, engineers, and scientists from Earth arrived daily on emergency shuttles. The main hangar of the flagship looked like a strange concert hall. Humans with various instruments sat alongside aliens with their recovered ancient sound devices. The combined music echoed through the massive space, trying to create the perfect harmony to stabilize the quantum fields. "We're losing ship 247. An alien technician called out. On the main screen, a red dot showed another vessel joining the growing list of critically damaged ships. Lisa, who hadn't slept in 2 days, rushed to adjust the musical frequencies. Jack worked beside her, combining human mathematics with alien technology. The fleet commander watched from his command station, his silver skin now almost white with stress. Temperature dropping in outer ring ships, another technician reported. Life support systems at 60% and falling. They had managed to stabilize 30 ships using their music-based solution, but it wasn't enough. For every ship they fixed, 2 more reported problems. The quantum cascade failure was spreading faster than they could fight it. "We need something bigger," Mark said, looking at the display showing all 300 ships. "We're fighting this ship by ship, but we need to reach them all at once." Ray, the young alien engineer, studied the fleet pattern. "In ancient times, our people believed all things were connected through cosmic harmonies. What if the ships aren't really separate? What if they're all part of one big quantum field?" Jack's tired eyes suddenly widened. "Of course. We've been thinking too small. The whole fleet is like one giant quantum system. We don't need to fix each ship. We need to stabilize the entire fleet at once." The idea spread quickly through the command center. Humans and aliens worked together, rearranging their musical equipment and computing devices. They positioned ships in a new pattern, trying to create one massive quantum harmony. But there was a problem. "The outer ships can't move into position," the fleet commander said. "They don't have enough power. And without perfect positioning, a harmony won't reach every vessel." Lisa looked at the fleet display for a long moment. Then she smiled. "We don't need to move the ships. We can move the harmony instead." She quickly explained her idea. The working ships could act like speakers in a giant concert hall, relaying the quantum harmonics to the damaged vessels. But they would need perfect timing and coordination. "It's too complex," an alien engineer protested. "The calculations would take weeks." "Then we don't calculate," Jack said firmly. "We feel it. Like musicians in an orchestra, we play together, not by math, but by instinct." The fleet commander was quiet for a long moment. His people had always relied on precise calculations and careful planning. But those methods had failed them. Finally, he nodded. "Do it," he ordered. What followed was the strangest concert in human or alien history. 1,000 musicians, both human and alien, played together while engineers adjusted quantum fields to match their harmony. The music started small, with just the flagship, then spread ship by ship. Warning alarms still blared. Ships were failing. People were being evacuated from the coldest vessels. Time was running out. Quantum field fluctuating. Power levels dropping. Life support critical in Section 12. But through the chaos and warnings, the music grew stronger. The humans played not with their computers, but with their hearts, feeling the rhythm of the quantum fields. The aliens added their own ancient harmonies, remembered from a time before pure logic ruled their lives. Lisa watched the main display, her hands moving across the controls like a conductor leading an orchestra. Jack coordinated the engineers, trusting his instincts over the calculations. The fleet commander stood at his post, watching as the fate of his entire civilization hung in the balance. Then, in the coldest, darkest ship at the edge of the fleet, a quantum drive sputtered to life. The first success gave everyone new energy. The quantum drive that had restarted in the outer ship continued to run smoothly, its power levels growing stronger by the minute. But they couldn't celebrate yet. They still had hundreds of ships to save. "A harmony is working," Lisa shouted over the combined music of humans and aliens. "We need to make it stronger." The huge hangar had transformed into something magical. Human violins played alongside alien sound sculptures. Drums beat in time with quantum pulses. Engineers adjusted their equipment based on feeling rather than numbers. The music swelled through the ships, carried by both sound waves and quantum fields. Jack watched the main display as more green lights began to appear. "It's spreading. The quantum field is stabilizing across multiple ships now." The fleet commander moved among his people, his silver skin beginning to regain its shine. "Look at the pattern," he said softly. It's like a dance. He was right. The quantum fields between the ships had formed a complex pattern that shifted and moved like a living thing. Where they had once tried to force the fields into rigid mathematical patterns, now they let them flow naturally, guided by the music. Ray worked at his station, combining the ancient harmonics of his people with Earth's music. Our ancestors knew, he said with wonder. They understood that the universe doesn't just follow rules, it follows rhythms. More ships began to light up on the display. 20 ships, 50, 100. The combined music grew stronger, and with it, the quantum field stabilized. But they weren't just stable, they were stronger than before. The drives aren't just starting up, one of the alien engineers reported with amazement. They're working better than they ever have. The efficiency ratings are off the charts. Lisa noticed something else. Look at how the fields are connecting between ships. They're strengthening each other. It's like they're singing together. The aliens who had always relied on pure logic and precise measurements watched in wonder as their ancient harmonics, combined with human music, did what all their calculations could not. The quantum drives responded to the rhythm and emotion in the music, creating a network of energy that spread through the entire fleet. Jack studied the readings. Every ship that comes online makes the field stronger for the others. It's building on itself. More ships lit up green on the display. 150. 200. The music swelled as humans and aliens played together, no longer two separate species, but one orchestra, creating something entirely new. Temperature rising in the outer ships, a technician reported. Life support systems coming back online. The fleet commander's eyes showed an emotion no human had seen before. In trying to become purely logical, he said, we forgot that the universe itself contains music. You helped us remember. As the last red dots on the display turned green, the music reached a crescendo. 300 ships, all humming with quantum energy, their fields synchronized not by cold mathematics, but by the combined artistry of two species. The hangar erupted in cheers, human and alien voices joining together in celebration. Engineers hugged musicians. Aliens who had never shown emotion danced with joy. The fleet commander raised his hands for silence. My people, he said, his voice carrying through all 300 ships. For too long we believed that perfect logic was the answer to everything. We forgot that the universe contains mystery, contains music, contains things that cannot be calculated but must be felt. He turned to the humans. You did not just save our ships. You helped us rediscover a part of ourselves we had lost. The wisdom of our ancestors, combined with your human spirit, has given us something greater than either of us had alone. Lisa looked at the display showing the quantum fields flowing between the ships. It's beautiful, she said, like a symphony written in starlight. Jack nodded. And now it will keep playing, keeping your ships safe across the galaxy. The fleet commander's next words would be remembered in both human and alien histories. Perhaps we were not stranded by accident. Perhaps we needed to meet, to learn from each other, to create this new harmony between our peoples. 1 month after the quantum drive crisis, the alien fleet prepared to resume their journey. The massive ships floated in perfect formation at the edge of Earth's solar system, their quantum drives humming with a new kind of energy, one born from the harmony of two civilizations. The fleet commander stood in the flagship's main hall, addressing a mixed crowd of humans and aliens. The hall had been transformed, with the emergency repair equipment replaced by ceremonial decorations from both cultures. Today we say goodbye to our friends from Earth, the commander said, his silver skin glowing with health. When we first came here, we thought we were simply seeking technical help. Instead, we found something far more valuable, a new way of seeing the universe. Jack, Lisa, and the other human engineers sat in the front row, along with Ray and the alien engineers who had worked with them. Over the past month, they had continued improving the quantum drives, combining human intuition with alien technology in ways neither species had imagined possible. Before we depart, The commander continued, "We wish to share some gifts with Earth." Large screens lit up around the hall, showing technical diagrams and scientific data. "We offer you the basics of our quantum technology," he said, "not as a payment, but as a beginning. We believe that humanity will use this knowledge in ways we never considered, just as you helped us see new possibilities in our own technology." The human representatives looked at the technical displays with amazement. Even the simplified versions of alien technology would advance Earth's science by decades. But the commander wasn't finished. "We also offer something else. Our fleet will spread word of Earth throughout the galaxy. From this day forward, humanity will be known as the harmonious ones, those who understand that logic and intuition, science and art must work together." Lisa turned to Ray, who had become a close friend. "What will your people do now?" The young alien engineer smiled, a gesture he had learned from humans. "We will build a new home, but we will build it differently. Our cities will have concert halls alongside laboratories. Our children will learn music as well as mathematics." Jack watched as human musicians gave one last performance with their alien counterparts. The quantum drives throughout the fleet hummed in harmony with the music, creating a symphony that stretched across space. "Other alien species will come to Earth now," the commander said. "They will come not for our advanced technology, but for your unique way of seeing the universe. You will teach others what you taught us, that the greatest discoveries happen when we open not just our minds, but our hearts." As the farewell ceremony concluded, humans and aliens said their goodbyes. The fleet commander approached Jack and Lisa one last time. "In our long history," he said, "we had forgotten that some problems cannot be solved by logic alone. You reminded us that sometimes the correct answer is not the right answer. This lesson will live on among our people for generations." The human crews returned to their ships. From the viewing windows, they watched as the alien fleet prepared to depart. The massive vessels began to move in a beautiful pattern, their quantum drives pulsing with blue light that seemed to dance between the ships. Just before the fleet jumped to quantum speed, they sent one final message to Earth. It wasn't written in words or numbers, but in music, a harmony created by both species together, a song of gratitude and friendship that would be played on Earth for years to come. The alien ships disappeared in a flash of light, leaving behind more than just technical knowledge. They left Earth with a new understanding of humanity's place in the universe. Humans weren't the strongest or most advanced species in the galaxy, but they had something special: the ability to see the music in the mathematics, to find harmony in the chaos. In the years that followed, Earth used its new knowledge wisely. They built their own quantum drives, but never forgot the lesson they had learned. Every ship they launched carried both scientific instruments and musical instruments, ready to solve whatever problems the universe presented, not just with logic, but with harmony. And somewhere in the vast galaxy, 300 alien ships continued their journey, their quantum drives singing a song that was part alien mathematics, part human music, and completely wonderful. The end.